and Flory Models Daily Show. Here we're on Thursday the 8th of December 2016. Thank you so much for all your kind feedback that we've had overnight. Rivet it, rivet it. That's all I've heard. Rivet, rivet, rivet. Okay, so change of plan slightly for this one. Technically, we're just about ready for paint. A couple of little jobs to do on this, but we're ready for paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold off of that, and then I'm going to re-rivet this entire thing. Now, we have covered riveting before. If you go off and have a look at the FW190, we did a standalone all about riveting. So what I'll do is it's like a recap on this, and then off camera, because obviously I'll get on a lot quicker, I will then completely re-rivet this entire thing. Personally, I'm glad you're sort of with me on this type of thing. Again, it's nice that you guys have obviously got great reference shots as well, which shows them with rivets and all the rest of it. So from that point of view, I'm thinking that little extra touch, another sort of probably day's work, things like that, will add another layer to the kit. And what that actually does then is that obviously you've got structure, you know, layer 1, then you've got like layer 2, which is technically panel lining and large surface. Then you sort of got layer 3, which in this case has got a little bit, it's got like stress skin, fine riveting detail, all things like that, especially on the smaller scales, gives them a great sense of scale. And you often hear me talk about the scale effect, and what I mean by that is the bit where if this was just sat on a piece of paper, you have no scale references around it, it'd be really difficult to know what scale it is. Is it 1/72? Is it 1/48? Is it 30-second? Or even bigger? Very hard to actually get that to know what it is, and that's what I say about a good scale modelling. It should be like that, and sometimes occasionally you get that little angle, you get that little, you know, a good little bit of work, and it's really difficult to tell. And sometimes we get them in the forum and I often have to go back to the top and make sure I have got the scale right. Because to me, it looks like, I don't know, it's 1/48, it turns out it's 1/72. But it's the tiny little details which really bring that to life. And unfortunately, in scale modelling, sometimes it gets sort of overlooked, the little tiny details, which isn't one of those things which I think everybody should now go out and make sure you super detail all your models, because at the end of the day, you have to do it to a level where you're comfortable at. And to be honest, I haven't seen one of these that's been re-riveted yet. I've seen lots of them, especially at Telford. They're all over Telford, and people will show me theirs and things like that. But I haven't seen actually anybody re-rivet it. So in some ways that'd be quite nice, because as far as I know, I'm the only person who's done it. And then what we can do is obviously use that riveting, but we're going to keep it somewhat subtle. What I want to do is I'm not going to go around probably with a panel line wash and fill them up so they like pop out. We're going to have them that they're there quite subtle, but what we'll do is post shade over that riveting detail, very reminiscent to the box art and everything else like that. So what this means is, in a minute, I'm going to have to go on the web and try and find some references for rivet detail, exactly where it is. To be honest, I'm going to take a lot from the box art, because I think that's quite nice. It's quite nicely done. And again, the difference is obviously there's so many different types of Meteor out there with so many different upgrades that it's going to have riveting in totally different places and all the rest of it. So I'm going to do a sort of generic re-rivet right the way over this entire thing, probably where they, you know, usually are and everything else like that. But thank you for your feedback. It's really nice to get that, because sometimes say you do this and you, in my mind I'm thinking, yeah, I want to do that. In other words, I'm thinking no, you know, and everything else. So to have you guys turn around and say, yes, go ahead, do it, let's get this done. Anyway, it's literally just popped up on the screen now. The Revell Star Destroyer is going to be up with you a little bit later on. I've been editing that this morning. That's finished now and is all up there. So part 1 is literally going to just be talking about the construction. So to be honest, it's something for the kids. So if you have got one at Christmas and the kids want to build it, they can just follow along with me and do it like that. And then in part 2, which will be up with you on Monday, we're going to talk about obviously what I'm doing to it now, which is all the filling work, making it pretty much ready for paint and all the bits and pieces. So we can come over, straightforward paint job right the way over it, pick out the panels and all the bits and pieces, and then you can actually go in with your weathering exactly what you want to do with it. Chances are I'm going to make a little stand for it as well, because I think it is needing one. And as you know, my big one needs a stand as well. I sit it at the moment, it sits like this on my shelf behind, as you know, purely because it's resin. I don't want the weight of it to be sort of, you know, flattening, pancaking now. So by keeping it like this, it is a nice little tip for you. But we want to make a stand for it, so when it is out and being displayed, I don't have to have it on that, because at the moment it's on like a 1-foot leg system of about 30 centimeters tall on 3 brass poles and all the rest of it. I want to have something a little bit more refined, a bit nicer. That doesn't have to be plugged into the electrics either, because obviously that one's fully LED lit and all the rest of it. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is have a little bit of a clear out everywhere. We're going to do a little bit more work to this because, to be honest, I'm still not happy with the underside here. It's there, but it's not perfect, so I want to make that perfect. Do that, and then what I can do is I'm going to get that into primer. We're then going to have a look back at the actual ATAT, and I am going to call it an ATAT. I've had a couple of people say to me it's an 8080. Hey, look, I'm a 70s kid. I remember it from the originals. I went to the cinema in the originals. It's an AT-AT to me. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be going with. But the thing is, what we're going to do is, needs a couple more little touch-ups on that. Going to do that, and then that'll be ready for paint. This would have been through primer as well. So what we can actually do is, maybe Friday even, because I'm quite ahead on things at the moment, is get both of those painted up, and then we can move forward like that. So, time to get on. Okay, joke.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Clear sky.
Okay then guys, so apart from a camera hiccup this morning, which the overhead camera refused to record, Star Destroyer is all painted up. So we've taken care of everything on the underside. I don't know if I can touch it yet. It's literally just come out. I mean, literally. Okay, might be able to hold it there. But the underside has all been done, so we've taken care of all of those problems under there. I think it's pretty much fixed. You can't really see where the doors were and everything else, which is the main point, but no one's going to see underneath. But anyway, I have to say it's worked an absolute treat. And I tell you what, it's a real blast from the past for me, because I actually went back and have looked at my old Star Destroyer build, and I must admit I absolutely loved it. I think that's still probably one of the highlights of me doing this job, and probably the most fun build I've ever done. Yes, I've enjoyed other projects as in modelling, but doing that was quite something else. And because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up as a freebie as well. So if you haven't seen it, have a look at the painting stage of it. I'm going to put that one up to go along with this one, because I must admit I have cocked up. The overhead camera wasn't working, so you can see how I did the giant one versus this one as well. So nice little comparison and everything else like that. One thing has arrived, I do say. I've had this arrive for me, which I'm hoping I know what it is. I think I know what it is. We do know what it is. So this is the Danny Gorman's. Again, if you know, I'm a massive fan of his books. The Phantom one, if you haven't seen it, we used it when I did the big Phantom build and everything else like that. They also do one on the F14, I do believe, and F18s. And I've got them all, but I didn't have this particular one. Now, I haven't actually looked in this. I will do a proper review of it, but I am that eager to get my grubby mitts on it. I'll let you get a little bookmark as well. Nice little touch. But it is, as we said, it's these things are absolutely invaluable. You know, if you're like me, to be honest, I used to be a massive reader. I used to read a lot. But these days, I just don't have time. So when you need references, yes, you can go on the web. And I always say Google is your friend and everything else. But where else are you going to get reference shots like this? And you've obviously got what is actually handy is all really handy if the riveting was on there as well. Could do riveting as well. But you've got all the internal details of everything else like that. So these books, as far as I'm concerned, from a modelling point of view, are worth the weight in gold. Now, don't get your hopes up. I'm not planning out building a Lightning anytime soon, because to be honest, I've got a nice one sat over there in my case. We have done one. But I saw this one come out and I thought, I tell you what, I must have missed that one. That one came out the first time round. So I saw it and I've grabbed it again. But as I said, references, sometimes, even if you're not building one, they are such nice, what I call, coffee table books. And it will be, because it will now go out and live on my coffee table, and during the evenings and that I'll be perusing this, and I'll tell you what will happen. I'll be going through this going, oh, that's nice, that's lovely, and I end up building one. So sometimes, we often speak about losing your mojo and how to get your mojo back and everything else like that. Sometimes, you just grab a book and you think, and you start to work your way through it, or you watch a film or something else, and all of a sudden you're like, that's it, and before you know it, it's on your bench and you're building it and trying to do homage to it. But nice touch with a little bookmark as well. I quite like that. But as I say, I haven't looked at it properly. That's literally the first time I've looked in it, but I know what their books are like. They are absolutely fantastic, and it is just nice. It's almost having that walk around that you've always wanted to do, but perhaps your photography is not very good, or you haven't got access to the actual aircraft. This is what you do. So definitely. But anyway, I will do a proper review of that with everything else. My review pile is growing massively, and in fact, I'm slightly ahead. So what I might end up doing is tomorrow, it's either that I'm going to re-rivet the Meteor and get on with that, because I'm actually ahead. Tomorrow's work I've done already. We've got the reviews done for tomorrow and everything else like that. So, but yeah, definitely. So what I plan to do this afternoon is to carry on with this. Okay, we are literally going to then pop round and put on the different shades of colours on it and everything else. I am not going to overcoat it. I will do exactly like we did to the last one. I will then just chuck a coat of wash over this one and we'll call it done. But oh boy, is this thing great. I think, as I said, we know there's one coming out, and I'm sure that'll be lovely, although looking at some of the pictures I've seen, doesn't look to be any more detailed than this is. But it's a good size. So if you are a Star Wars fan, go out and buy one, definitely. Okay, and there we go. So, busy day today. I've spent bloody hours, it feels like, painting this little guy up, doing a lot of it by masking, a lot of it by hand, but definitely been worth it. I think tomorrow I'm going to let this one totally dry overnight, and then what we're going to do is come in, I'm going to give this a full wash, and then very similar to how we did the other one, we do a little bit of post shading as well, I think, just to make this one really fit. But I'm saying 24 quid, a day's work almost, and you've got this at the end of it. You don't get many kits these days that actually are this good a quality. Okay, the detail isn't like the other one. I look at the other one and I put it on a par with this one, and you really shouldn't, because it literally is apples and oranges. It's the same thing, but this is like a budget version compared to what that one is. That one had a purpose in life, and obviously it was a film one and everything else, so it's got the details and all the little bits. This is really designed for kids to get them into the hobby, something as a toy, as a play thing, rather than something that you can look and cherish at and look at all the tiny details. So when you think about it, the level of detail that is on this is absolutely stunning, and I have to say, it's going to actually be Revel's kit of the year for me, purely because it is good price, especially when you compare it to the leggy thing that's behind me and all the rest of it. This thing is a complete bargain, and absolutely love it. So, on light of all of this, you can go off and watch it now. So part one is really about 22 minutes, I think 25 minutes tops, and it's going to actually just be putting it together. So actually what we do in that, we put it together and then we talk about what we've done to this now, and by going through the motions of actually then turning it into a really nice model, okay? And again, we're into this sort of situation where, yes, okay, it's a kid's toys. The video is designed for kids all the way through and everything else. You adults and all the rest of it, you get really, part two is really designed for you about, all right, taking a kid's toy and turning it into something like this. But generally, I still maintain it is pretty good. And we still get the lights work on the back, which, considering I oversprayed them and I wasn't too sure about it, I think worked quite well as well. But anyway, it'll be a lot of fun with this one. I'm going to do this one tomorrow. I'm going to finish this one off and everything else like that. Probably going to do a little bit of work on the walker. I have started on the legs. We've got the proper coat of paint on the legs. Obviously, these are going to have to be washed, dry brushed and everything else, and weathered in, but they are coming together. I haven't done the body yet, because the body I'll share with you. It's down there just out of reach. So the body I'll get in spray bait, and we'll show you all about that and exactly how we're going to go about about doing it, weathering it, and all the bits and pieces. Looking forward to that one. It's going to be for next week. Be a lot of fun. And then obviously, because you guys all told me to do it, I will be re-riveting this. I'm probably going to do this tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to spend an afternoon. I'll put on some music, chill, relax, and just gently rescribe all the way through and re-rivet this. Now, if anybody can help me out, it'd be absolutely fantastic. If anybody knows, not so much the sides and the top, because I've got that pretty well covered from reference photos, but if anybody has got a guide to riveting on the underside, that would help. I have got a couple of pictures of where there's a wing section stood up on some pallets, so don't send me that one because you can't see it. But if anybody has out there got some decent photos of riveting on the underside of a Meteor, that'd be fantastic. If you have got plans for it that show riveting, then shout, okay? Because I could really do with some good quality high-res detail ones. But generally, as I say, I can do it off of photos. I think the sides and the top, just the underside is proving a little bit elusive. I say I spent about an hour this afternoon trying to get all the details on about it, but it would help. It would just make riveting a lot easier if I could be a little bit more accurate about where they're going to go. But it should be a lot of fun, and a lot of things like we've got to rivet around noses and around forward edges, and again, they're not going to be too easy to do, but I have got a plan for that, so I'll share that with you next week when we go through the motions of it. But I'd say tomorrow during the vloggy bit, you'll see me all doing this one. I'm quite actually weirdly looking forward to it, which is a little bit odd and everything else. So there we go, that's about it for today. Thank you for joining me. As I said, go off and have a look at this one. Keep it back. If you bought one for the kids, keep that video favorited or whatever and everything else like that, and then that way you can then just sit them down with it and they can put it together and all the rest of it. If you are watching on YouTube, a couple of questions that have come up. What I will do is I will answer those on a vloggy thing probably one day next week. As I said, I get millions of emails, millions of messages, and it's very difficult for me to keep up. There's a lot of you who know. So if you don't get an answer direct from me, it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's just that it's just a constant bombardment. So shoot me up with them again and all the rest of it. Remember, if you do like what you see, please shoot us a like rating obviously on the actual YouTube page, because that really helps us out as well. And then if you want to see us do anything like these free ones especially, then obviously hit the subscribe button with YouTube as well. So there we go, that's it from me. Happy modelling, take care, catch you all tomorrow.